Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Theresa and this afternoon I will be presenting a discussion compiled by myself, Amy Atkinson and Bree Spreadborough. This discussion will be focusing on the wool industry and various global trends relating to sustainability. The sustainability of wool production is crucial not only for global commodities but also heavily influences and affected by the demand of fashion industry worldwide. In terms of production on a global scale, wool is at a 70-year low, however, again is starting a slow and steady rise. Whilst production is low, demand is still steady, and this has caused increases in prices received for raw wool. Currently, the world's largest producers of wool are Australia, New Zealand, AGRI, Argentina, and South Africa. Whilst these countries produce and export vast amounts of wool, China is one of the world's biggest importers and processors, buying up to 70% of Australia's wool clip. There is also increasing market demand coming from US and Europe. These particular countries are seeing a rise in the use of wool due to the availability to be recycled. This stems from the issue of a large amount of textiles ending up in landfill, with the Environmental Protection Agency reporting that the USA alone had 10.5 million tons of textiles end up in landfill each year. In the past, apparel and in particular sportswear have been dominated by the use of synthetic materials. However, in recent years, the fashion industry has started a shift using wool as a natural fiber due to its high quality, durability, and breathable properties. These features also mean that wool is ideal for recycling. In recent years, there has been a global increase in recycling wool, with 75% of donated apparel being reused directly through charities, whilst the remaining 25% is recycled through open and closed loop paths. On top of this, wool is alone one of the very few fibers which is biodegradable, so at the end of its lifespan it can be safely disposed of. Doing this is also beneficial to maintaining soil health, as the decomposing wool releases carbon and other available nutrients back into the earth. Louisa Smith wrote on behalf of ISPO that consumers of sports clothing are opting towards textiles made from wool for the reasons of being conscious of the product being environmental friendly, as well as the fabric being comfortable, sturdy, and easy to care for. In addition to recycling of wool, the demand from consumers for the product over synthetic aids is sustaining markets for wool producers worldwide. The global production of superfine wool has been a sustainable trend since the early 1990s. Recently, the high increased production of superfine wool has been influenced by the global market demand for more garments such as active leisure wear. The production of superfine wool has had an increased change since a decade ago and is more sustainable product produced by the wool industry. Particularly in Australia, wool producers have a focus on flocks producing finer and more available wool. Merino sheep usually produce a superfine wool fleece, weight around 2.5 to 3 kilograms, and typically 85 millimeters in length. Over the years, the development of superfine wool came about the strategic selection and genetic lines and crossbreeding. The selection had an emphasis on fleece weight and fiber diameter. Producers are trending to have produce finer wool, as it is a more sustainable product that will benefit the wool industry in the future. Unfortunately, wool prices have seen a decline in previous years, which has been influenced by the oversupply of superfine wool. The future of the wool industry continues to have a market, but the long-term prices have been only steady. A report from the New South Wales Department of Primary Industries in 2015 claims a high-quality fine and superfine wool production may retain competitive against other enterprises over the long term, depending on the fine wool premiums and the relative price of lamb and sheep meats. Merino sheep best produce superfine wool in the cooler climates, tableland areas where rainfall and soil type renders it more difficult to finish for meat production. Australian wool growers produce the world's finest wool from merino sheep using sustainable farming practices. New England Wool have been aiming to promote a sustainable production of superfine wool which emphasises on wool produced under a natural pastoral grazing condition and which with the highest regard to environment and the animal. New England Wool have developed an integrity scheme known as Sustainable Wool for the Australian wool industry to ensure the superfine wool producers are taking the best care of their animals and the environment. The scheme will assist in producers to ensure that they are being sustainable and help them change their on-farm practices to improve wool quality. This scheme also focuses on reducing the negative impacts producing superfine wool has on the sheep. It causes issues with fly strike due to the increase of wrinkles on the sheep, specifically around the breech area. This results in the requirement of mulesing to reduce the chances of fly strike. Superfine wool has multiple uses for many apparel items, and for the major markets for this wool type are at mills in Italy, Japan, France, the People of Republic of China, and South Korea. The mills process the wool that is imported into the countries and then re-export it as finished wool. Australia is the largest wool producer in the world, as they produce 88% of the fine and superfine wool. China and Europe import most of Australia's wool, as these countries believe that Australia has the best high-quality wool produced on sustainable farms. Argentina, South Africa, and New Zealand are the three other major producers of fine and superfine wool for apparel use. The wool industry has many emerging trends that contribute to the sustainability, which improves the future of the industry. Recycled wool is an emerging trend that contributes to improving the soil quality and is a great biodegradable product. On a global scale, superfine wool production has had a major increase over the years due to the demand and more apparel use. It has a long-term benefit of the wool industry. Both trends mentioned promote sustainability and the environment, the global market for the wool industry. Thank you very much for listening. We hope we enlightened you and that you enjoyed this presentation.